everyone, welcome back to my channel. This time I'm gonna take a look into my VR cockpit. This cockpit is actually I'm using it for Pimax Crystal headset. You can see this is the headset just below here. This cockpit is mostly equipped with Winwing product, but also added with my own DIY button box and of course several other components. So let's take a look into more details. So this is the list of components. So as you can see, this is the Pimax Crystal VR headset on the right side, on the left side in the hanger. And then I'm using Winwing Orion 2 FA18C throttle with finger lift combo here. In this one, this is a Pimax Crystal. This is the Orion 2 FA18C throttle. Also in front of it, there's not shown here. There's I bought another Winwing Orion 2 F16 EX throttle combo. So I have two throttle combo. This one is for FA18. The other one is for F16. So I can just replace quickly with the thumb screw below. So just drop in and then thumb screw by hand. So it's immediately replacing the throttle. Yeah, so using the same cables. So it's very easy to replace the throttle if I need to. And because I have a joystick here, the F16EX joystick on the right side. So if I want to use the F16 airplane, so I can just replace the throttle and using this joystick instead of the VKB here. In front of this, there's a Winwing panel takeoff, PTO2 panels. This is my own DIY vertical left panel analog handle. There's a handle here. This is DIY using MMJoy. This one is of course the MIP set. This is the Phoenix MIP kit. So the Phoenix is without the LCD, so it's basically just a blank plate. The other kit is from Winwing, is the UFC FA18 UFC and HUD panel kit. So this is I bought it in one set. The other not shown here is flip, actually tucked away behind this keyboard actually is the Winwing F16 ICP. I'll show you later on. So it's flip, so I can flip it out here and then it replace this UFC or covered UFC, and then I can use the F16 throttle combo, joystick, and also the ICP panel. So, and of course using these two MIP as my screen in F16. So that is quite handy. And then the Winwing Orion 2 F16AX joysticks in the far right. And then VKB Gunfighter 4 Modern Combat Extended with extension I'm using in the center. Saitek Pro Combat Rudder pedal, not shown here, just below there. Vertical panel, as I mentioned, DIY. And then DIY knee pad, so I can press F1 to F12 using this button in DCS for communications, for external view, for example, and several buttons to reset my VR view here. So I can use this knee pad button box, very handy. So I strap it using Velcro into my thigh when I'm sitting here. The other one is DIY multi-purpose right panel, and this AA and master weapon arming toggle switch. This one and the right panel is not shown here. I can show you it later on. And then 16 USB 3.0 15 ampere power hub unused. I'm putting all this controller into my moving platform, but already unused. So it's very cheap moving platform. It's very crude, so it's quite okay for racing, but not for flying. So basically, it's not smooth enough. Full HD monitor, keyboard, and the mouse. Okay, so basically this is the list of components. Take a look into more detail. So this is the USB hub on the left side. I can everything is connected actually, but I can switch it on and switch it off if I want to. Which one that I'm going to use? For example, the vertical DIY vertical MMJoy panel, I'm not using it because it's in conflict with the right panel, also MMJoy, I think. So I'm turning it off. FVKB and F16, I either one is being used. So I put a bead here. I glued a bead so I can feel in the front will be the VKB, in the rear side will be the F16 joystick. So which one that I'm going to use, I can select. Everything else is being connected. Everything also being powered externally. So this one is USB 3.0 powered hub. Okay, so it's very useful. So from the left side, you can see this is the Orion 2 FA18C throttle quadrants with finger lift. This is the combo, and you can see also the handle here. It's an analog handle connected to these panels, vertical panel. I can use this one for F14 wing swap or F15 MiG 15 flap handle, whatever. And this is the Winwing PTO2 panels. This one have the landing gear handle, parking brake, selective jettison button, wing fold, hook, and other useful like landing gear light, launch bar, flap switch. So the previous flap switch here is moved into this PTO panel. Now you can see here, you probably seen something odd in this Orion 2. There's some odd switches and toggle switches here. Yes, already modding this Orion 2, so it's already void the warranty. I already torn apart this Orion 2 throttle quadrants and replaced some several switch. So take a look what I've done. So this one is the modification. First of all, these switches here used to be a toggle switch on off in 2 positions, so it's registered as a 2 position on off. I replace it with a momentary switch, so it's still registered 2 positions, but it's when I push it forward, it will spring back into the off positions. And I'm sticking some resin cover caps here just to make it different from this one, so I can feel this is the momentary switch on the left side. This switch will be used for APU. So rather than the on-off switch, I'm using a momentary on-off. So when I push, it will spring back. The APU will already be started. So I need these switches for starting the APU in FA18. And also, if you can see, this one is already put a cap, but it's still original switch, so on-off. The other one that you might not see, this one has been changed. This one is no longer 3 positions flap switch, but it's actually becoming 2 position momentary, so on, off, on. It still register off positions in the controllers, so there's still 3 positions, but I'm only using the on position, which is I push it and then it will spring back into the center. I push it down, it will spring back again to the center position. You can already guess what switches it will be used. This is for test A, test B switch in FA18. So when I want to do a mouseless or keyboardless interaction in the FA18, I can use this switch to do a test A, test B startup, for example, from the cold and dark startup. So test A, test B. This one is for O-box. I'm putting my O-box here, so I switch it on for O-box, so I don't need to do a mouse click for the O-box. This one I don't think I've used it yet, so this is a spare switch still for some future additional switches. The other modification to the Orion 2 throttle quadrant is this switch. The attitude hold 3 position switch already replaced with a momentary button also, but this one is left and right. You can already guess for what. This one is for engine start left, engine start right. So it's a spring loaded momentary switch. I have to raise the switches because it's so big, it won't fit in between the PCB and this cover. So I have to make a hole here and then put the acrylics that I created my own. I created from 2mm acrylics and painted black, and then put the switch on the acrylic. So I glued these panels on top of the cover, and then install the switch. So it allowed the switch in between the PCB and the cover. If not, then it won't fit in. Okay, so this switch is for the spring loaded also, momentary left, momentary right, so I can push it to the right and spring load it into the center position. So I can start engine right, engine left, and spring back into the center position. So this is very useful. I think I'm using this rotary switch is for the lighting, external lighting, and this one I forgot. Yeah. Anyway, so this one is no longer used. This one for the FCS reset button. This one is for takeoff trim button. So basically I'm no longer used as per this description, so I'm changing all the setting. Okay, so basically this is the modification. It's destructive modification. Don't follow my lead because you definitely void the warranty by doing this, but it's working quite well. So I don't need to do a mouse click or keyboard click when I do a cold and dark startup in FA18 now. So the next panels that I'm using is definitely the MIP itself. This one is the Phoenix MIP combo. As you can see, no LCD, so basically a blank metal plate. Yeah, so the only gripes from this setup is basically the button is mushy, it's not clicky, so it's lack of tactile feedback basically. Yeah, so it's not noisy, but it's not so nice in using the switches. The other one is basically if you can see here, there's some sticker here, like a foam, a small foam here. Basically this one is the, how do you call it, is the indicator, or you can, during VR you cannot see the button. Basically you cannot see this panel, right? You see the panel inside the FA18 cockpit or in the virtual cockpit. The problem is I need to find which switch that I need to push, right, to interact with. So I just need to touch this bigger sticker pad or smaller one. I can already know which switch that I'm going to press below or above it, or left to it or right to it. So basically this is just it's like a braille for a blind person, so you have to feel it and then you press it. The other indicator here, or the touch point, is here in the on the fifth button here. There is a bead, a small bead here. I can feel the bead here that I glued here in the center, so this should be number 5. So I can go to the left, will be number 4, to the right will be number 6, for example. There's another bead here that I can feel. This is going to be the center of this, the center column here. There's another bead over here that will be indicative of this center button for this 5 vertical button. There's another one here in the ILS, in the TechCan, and the data link here on below. There's a foam here. I put every foam sticker on every MIP or MCD or multi-display, multi-purpose display, so I can feel which button that I'm going to press. So it's very useful. It's quicker rather than you have to fumbling around, try to find which switch that you're gonna press. Okay, so yeah, unfortunately you cannot see all the display, the nice display, the green display here, so it's useless in the VR anyway. The other one is this one is the additional DIY button that I created for. This one is master caution reset. This one is AG mode, combat mode button, and this one is master arming toggle switch. Okay, so basically this is the setup, and some modification that probably give you some idea on how to make it faster respond on which switch that I need to press. This one is another view, so I can flip out the ICP F16 on top of F18 UFC. So in this mode, actually already now using F16 mode control panel. So I'm using these two multi-purpose display as my main controller for F16. Okay, so this one is actually flippable, so I can move. I'll show you in the video like this. So I can flip the keyboard to the right side and then flip in the ICP F16 panels, and then if I'm no longer used, I can flip it back into the behind the keyboard, and I'm going back into FA18 UFC. So this is, I think, Winwing already designed this from the beginning, because the what do you call it, the way they install it actually already planned before. I'll show you in the next pictures when we review the installation of the ICP. Okay, so the next component will be the of course the rudder. This is a Saitek combat rudder. This is old one. I'm already using it for many years, so I'm just putting it here. This is the controller for the VKB gunfighter joystick. I put it here. Okay, so this is the VKB gunfighter 4 modern combat joystick. Is very okay, but the problem is it's look nice, but this one is mostly for like MiG or Sukhoi aircraft for Russian airplane, but I think it's okay for FA18. So I program this lever as a switch. There's a switch, so when you press into the maximum, it will be coming on switch. Let's say for disengaging the wheel steering, just like in the FA18 joystick. But initially it's not. This is analog switch, analog lever. But I program in the VKB. You can program in the VKB configuration configurator software. So if passing 80%, 90%, if press here, it will be coming on switch. So you can do that. Okay, translating from analog into a switch, and then below that it will be off. So yeah, so it's very useful. Other switch definitely are quite common setting. Okay, as per the FA18 joystick setting, but for Sukhoi or MiG, you can imitate more accurate. Now, if you see on the right side, this is the way I installed the ICP and the UFC. So many people, I'm probably installing UFC flat into the back panels, right? So mostly are in the same angle as the this what do you call it, multi-purpose display. So if you see here, the bottom part AMPCD for in the FA18, this will be AMPCD, or the color one. This one is the green one. You can see there's a different what do you call it, height. So I'm using the bracket for this one, double bracket installation. So it's much more forward. This one is flat into the back panel. I'm using wooden panel behind it just to attach this one. So basically this one is much more inside, and this one is much more protruding outside. And if you can see, the UFC panel is actually much in a different angle with this multi-purpose display. So basically it's more straight facing downward on the AFC, while this is a bit angled. So I try to imitate the real cockpit of FA18. So I have an FA18 real cockpit, that DIY cockpit that I created before, so I know this is the way it's set up. The problem is because this is straight level, when you put the ICP, it becoming tilted down. So I need to add a spacer here, acrylic spacer, 5mm acrylic, just to make it the same angle with this, so it's much more easier to interact with this ICP. So that's the only different probably for the setting, for your setting, for other people's setting, because most people will put the UFC panels in the same angle with this multi-purpose display. Probably they are in the same level also. This one is actually different level. Yeah, so this is really imitating more toward the real FA18 setup. Okay, just for your information. So you can see here, there's a bracket here. Usually it's just you have, there's a rubber padding here just not to break this UFC. But if I don't put this bracket, it will be tilted down. Yeah, facing down this ICP panel. So it's not good. So I need to put a kind of bracket here. So yeah, so this one is already, if you can see here, it's already planned by Winwing from the beginning. So the way they bolt and provided the bracket is already integrated. So if you buy only the UFC for FA18, well, it's useless. It's not used. But when you buy the ICP, it's already there. The positioning of the bolt, the holes, everything has been set up from the beginning, from the design phase, I guess. This is from the right side. You can see, because this is moving platform, it's quite high. I need to add some stair just to enter the cockpit, just right like the real aircraft. But this is from the right side. So from the right side, you can see this is the joystick, the F16 joystick from Winwing. This is the force feedback. It's a pressure sensitive joystick, so it's imitating the real joystick of F16. So it's not moving, so it's just slightly moving. You can press it left, right to move the aircraft. So it's quite a different feel. I haven't really used it quite a lot. I'm still using FA18 mostly. But yeah, this is very interesting to experience, I guess. As you can see, next to it, there's a DIY button box. So I'm going to explain a bit more in the right side. I'm putting also some fan. This is USB fan, actually battery powered. So this one is just there's an AC on top of, in front of this VR cockpit. So cool air will be blown into my face or to the VR headset, at least to give some cool air into the face, because it's quite hot, quite warm. Yeah, you're gonna have some sweat when using a long session in VR headset. Now let's take a look into the right panel. So this is the joystick, the Winwing F16EX joystick. I'm not using the force feedback versions. But this one is using the pressure sensitive joystick. So actually this joystick is not move. It's only slightly move, only millimeters in moving the joystick, interacting with the F16, for example. There's adjustable hand position, and I'm gonna review the joystick later on when already quite familiar with it. So on the right side, this is my DIY button box. So I create this one using MMJoy. I'm creating this because I want to do mouseless and keyboardless interaction for cold and dark startup with FA18. So you can see this is 3-position battery switch. So I can set up my battery from here. Generator also 2-position switch, can detect on and off positions. This one is encoder. This one used for bleed air rotary switch. This one is for I forgot for this one. I'm setting it for what. This one I think for pitot. Forget. Oh, pitot is here. This one I forgot again. What I have to put some marking here. This one is analog potentiometer. This one definitely for lighting. I think F16 also have several similar setup. This one is analog switch, so I'm putting analog switch in DCS for lighting. Yeah, for panel lighting, float lighting, and everything. This one is for night vision goggle and night and day mode. This one I think is a momentary switch for light test. This one is for the canopy open and close 3 positions, so it can detect 3 positions. This one is for the flare, the laser targeting pod, and whatever. Yeah, so it's similar setup. And this one is for the radar standby operate conditions. This one is for the INS switch. Yeah, so for ground, sea carrier, and then IFA or GPS. So basically, I can do a cold and darks. I'm using sorry, for this momentary there's 2 position. Forward is for light test, backward actually for bit test. So I'm using this one momentary for bit test. So I push backward, and I push the button here for bit test. So basically I can do a cold and dark startup of FA18 without interacting with or using a mouse from this VR Cockpit. Okay, so this is the latest edition on the VR Cockpit. This is a closer look into the switch. I'm putting a resin cap into the toggle switch, so I can feel which one is actually battery, because it's a pointy one. This one is generator, is a mushroom type. This one has a certain different kind of form, so I can feel. This one is for the bleed air, for example. This one is for canopy because it has larger paddle kind of switch. This one is pointy again for lesser. I think this is not according to the original FA18 though, but at least I can differentiate each of the buttons during VR session. It's very important because you will not see this button, so you have to feel which one that you're gonna interact with the switch. So different form of the switch. I think the real aircraft also purposely differentiate the cap or the toggle switch cap differently, so you can feel without looking at the switch during combat or during certain hectic situation. You will just feel the switch, which one that you interact. Hopefully it's the correct one. Yeah, so basically there's a purpose of the form of the switch itself, so I'm imitating that. As mentioned, this is for the master caution reset. I'm going to put a beat on one of it so I can differentiate which the AA and air to ground mode, and then of course this one is the master arming toggle switch. Okay, so yeah, this is very helpful. So you can see also this joystick is positioning slightly into the right, so it's actually for ergonomic reasons. Yeah, so it won't actually hinder my it doesn't impact my leg position. So it's just angled a bit, so it's gonna be more ergonomic. The last one I think this is the knee pad. As mentioned, this is strapped into my thigh using Velcro, and I can interact. This one is actually programmed as the macro button, keyboard macro. So F1, F2 function key actually up to function 12, function key 12. This one is COM1, COM2. And this one is for pause, active pause in DCS, and actually the other button on the other side is for resetting my VR view. And there's 3 more button in the front for, I forgot for selecting what. Oh, for I think for hornet ball command, so I can hornet ball, and also for other command in the communications, so I can quickly do a hornet ball or launch actually, salute when I launch from carrier. So yeah, so this one is very useful, so I don't need to reach my keyboard. It's very difficult to reach the keyboard during VR session, so I just reach my thigh, and then this knee pad button is there to have a quick interaction. So that is the end of the VR cockpit review. Hopefully you get some idea from the video, and yeah, see you in another video from Hobbytech Gear. Bye bye.